This is not a drill. Heaven just broke protocol. God has sent you a direct message, and you've got exactly 24 hours to respond. Reject it, and you'll pay dearly. Picture this. Your phone buzzes at midnight. The screen lights up like fire. The notification reads, "Urgent message from heaven expires in 24 hours." What would you do? Swipe it away like another spam text? Or would your hands tremble knowing the creator of the universe just reached through time and space to find you right here, right now in this sacred moment? That's exactly what's happening. This isn't coincidence. This isn't entertainment. This is heaven breaking silence for you. God is speaking right now. Not through whispers you have to strain to hear. Not through signs you have to decode. He's roaring your name across the spiritual atmosphere. And if you miss this, if you scroll past this moment, you'll pay with years of wondering what could have been. You've been asking for a sign. This is it. You've been begging God to speak. He's speaking. You've been waiting for your moment. It's now. Listen. I don't know what brought you here tonight. Maybe your heart is shattered. Maybe you're tired of praying to what feels like silence. Maybe you're wondering if God even remembers your name. But you're here because heaven orchestrated this encounter. You're here because God has something burning on his heart that only you were meant to hear. A portal just opened, and it has your name written in light. In the next few seconds, your whole spiritual atmosphere could shift. The air around you could change. The weight you've been carrying could lift, but only if you dare to receive what's coming. If you feel this stirring in your bones, this holy electricity, don't just sit there. Whisper inside your soul right now, "Lord, I hear you." And if you've got the faith to declare it publicly, type 777 in the comments. Let heaven see that you won't miss your moment. To everyone who's supported this message through prayer, through watching, through believing you're not just helping a channel, you're partnering with heaven to reach someone drowning in darkness. Now breathe deep. Stay close. Lock in. Because what you're about to hear has the power to rewrite your entire story. This isn't just another message. This is your Damascus Road moment, your burning bush encounter, your sealed scroll from the throne room of God. The message is loaded, the delivery is live, and your life will never be the same. Why does God's voice always seem to break through when your world is breaking apart? Why does heaven's whisper turn into thunder right when you can barely stand? Why does the Almighty choose chaos over calm to deliver his most important messages? Here's what the church won't tell you. God's urgent messages never come wrapped in pretty bows. They come like fire alarms piercing the night because something precious is at stake. Your destiny. Maybe you've been praying for years and the ceiling feels like concrete. Maybe you've buried more friends than you care to count. And each funeral whispers the question, "Am I next?" Maybe you've wondered if God still remembers your name when the mailbox stays empty and the phone stays silent. But let me paint you a picture that might shake you to your core. There's a courtroom in heaven right now. The evidence is being presented not against you, but for you. Every ignored whisper, every dismissed nudge, every time you felt that pull in your spirit and walked the other way, it's all there. Your name is lit up on heaven's docket tonight. Look at Moses standing in the desert, tending sheep, minding his own business. Then boom, a bush catches fire and won't burn up. God's message was urgent. I've seen my people suffering. You are going to lead them out. Moses tried to argue, tried to run, tried to make excuses, but ignoring that burning bush would have cost him the greatest assignment in human history. Or consider Jonah. God said, "Go to Nineveh." Clear message, urgent delivery. But Jonah hopped a boat going the opposite direction. What happened? Storm. Wail 3 days in darkness. The very thing he was running from became his prison until he surrendered to God's original message. Scripture doesn't sugarcoat the cost of ignoring God's voice. Lot's wife was given one simple instruction. Don't look back. She ignored it. One glance over her shoulder, and she became a pillar of salt, a monument to what happens when we choose our past over God's future. But here's the question that's going to keep you up tonight. Why you? Why is God sending this message to you right now? Why not your neighbor, your pastor, someone more qualified? Hold that thought. What I'm about to reveal will shock you to your core. Listen close, beloved. God's direct messages don't come wrapped in pretty ribbons. They come like fire alarms piercing the night because something precious is at stake. Your destiny. Look at Moses minding his own business in the desert, tending sheep like any other Tuesday. Then boom, a bush catches fire and won't burn up. God's message was urgent. I've seen my people suffering. You are going to lead them out. Moses tried to argue, tried to run, tried to make excuses, but ignoring that burning bush would have cost him the greatest assignment in human history. The man who delivered 3 million people from slavery almost missed it because he hesitated at heaven's alarm. Then there's Jonah. God said, "Go to Nineveh." Clear message, urgent delivery. But Jonah hopped a boat going the opposite direction. What happened? Storm, wail, 3 days in darkness. Choking on his own rebellion. The very thing he was running from became his prison until he surrendered to God's original message. You think you can outrun heaven's GPS? Ask Jonah how that worked out. Or consider Lot's wife one simple instruction. Don't look back. She ignored it. One glance over her shoulder at the life she was leaving, and she became a pillar of salt, a monument to what happens when we choose our past over God's future. One moment of disobedience, one lifetime of consequence. Then there's Saul, breathing threats against God's people, convinced he was righteous while destroying lives. Haven didn't send him a gentle nudge. Light blazed from the sky, knocked him off his horse, blinded him for 3 days. Why such drama? Because God's message was life or death urgent. Stop destroying my church and start building it. Every one of these encounters had a countdown clock ticking. Every single one came with consequences for delay. Every moment of hesitation cost them something precious: time, purpose, peace. Right now, while your bills are stacking up, while your body is screaming in pain, while your heart feels forgotten, that's not God being cruel. That's heaven breaking through the noise of your normal life because He has something critical to tell you. The tension you feel right now, that's spiritual electricity in the air. That's not anxiety, that's anticipation. That's heaven holding its breath, waiting to see if you'll receive what's been burning on God's heart for you. If you believe God's trying to break through your noise right now, Don't be silent. Let the heavens hear your yes. Type yes, Lord, in the comments. But here's the question that's going to haunt you tonight. Why you? Why is God sending this message to you right now? Chosen one, we need to talk about the war happening right now inside your head. Every second you're awake, there's a battle raging for your attention. And the enemy isn't using bullets or bombs. He's using something far more deadly noise. Endless, suffocating, soul-crushing noise. Your phone buzzes 150 times a day. Your television screams breaking news that breaks nothing but your peace. Social media feeds you poison disguised as information. Gossip floods your ears. Fear pollutes your thoughts. The news cycle spins you dizzy with anxiety about tomorrow while stealing your focus from today. This is an accident. This is warfare. The enemy knows something you're just discovering. God's voice cuts through everything, but only if you can hear it. So, his strategy is simple. Drown you in noise until you can't hear heaven calling your name. Listen to what happened to Elijah. This prophet was so desperate to hear from God. He climbed a mountain and waited. First came a mighty wind that could break rocks. God wasn't in it. Then came an earthquake that shook the mountain. God wasn't in it. Then came fire that consumed everything in sight. God wasn't there either. But then in the stillness that followed all that chaos came a still small voice. And that whisper from heaven was more powerful than all the noise combined. Your breakthrough is in the whisper, not the screaming. Think about Moses at the burning bush, in the silence of the wilderness, tending sheep, minding his own business. That's when God's voice broke through. Not in the marketplace chaos of Egypt, but in the sacred quiet where his soul could finally hear. But Jonah, he ran from God's direct message, hopped a boat heading the opposite direction. What happened? Storm, whale. 3 days in darkness. The very thing he was running from became his prison until he surrendered to God's original message. And Lot's wife given one simple instruction: don't look back. But the noise of her past, the pull of what was behind her, drowned out heaven's warning. One glance over her shoulder, and she became a monument to what happens when we choose noise over God's voice. God's direct messages never come tied with pretty bows. They come like alarms piercing the night, because something precious is at stake. Your destiny. When was the last time you sat in complete silence for more than 5 minutes? When did you last turn off every screen, silence every notification, and just listen? If you believe God's trying to break through your noise right now, don't be silent. Let the heavens hear your yes. Type yes, Lord, in the comments. But here's what the enemy fears most about your silence. Chosen one, we need to talk about the war happening right now inside your head. Every second you're awake, there's a battle raging for your attention. And the enemy isn't using bullets or bombs. He's using something far more deadly noise. Endless, suffocating, soul-crushing noise. Your phone buzzes 50 times a day. Your television screams breaking news that breaks nothing but your peace. Social media feeds you poison disguised as information. Gossip floods your ears. Fear pollutes your thoughts. The news cycle spins you dizzy with anxiety about tomorrow while stealing your focus from today. This is an accident. This is warfare. The enemy knows something you're just discovering. God's voice cuts through everything, but only if you can hear it. So, his strategy is simple. Drown you in noise until you can't hear heaven calling your name. Listen to what happened to Elijah. This prophet was so desperate to hear from God. He climbed a mountain and waited. First came a mighty wind that could break rocks. God wasn't in it. Then came an earthquake that shook the mountain. God wasn't in it. Then came fire that consumed everything in sight. God wasn't there either. But then in the stillness that followed all that chaos came a still small voice. And that whisper from heaven was more powerful than all the noise combined. Your breakthrough is in the whisper, not the screaming. God's message is like a lighthouse beam cutting through the storm, but the enemy floods your eyes with neon distractions, trying to blind you to the one light that can guide you home. Think about this. When was the last time you sat in complete silence for more than 5 minutes? When did you last turn off every screen, silence every notification, and just listen? I mean, really listen, not to podcasts or music, or the voices in your head rehearsing tomorrow's worries, but to the voice that spoke the stars into existence. You can't hear a whisper over a rock concert. You can't catch God's gentle nudge when your soul is being bodies slammed by the world's chaos. Here's what the enemy fears most. If you silence the noise for just one night, just one sacred hour, what breakthrough might break open? What door might swing wide? What miracle might step out of the shadows and into your living room? Right now, wherever you are, I dare you to do something that will terrify hell itself. Pause. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Let the noise fade and whisper these 4 words that have the power to shift your entire spiritual atmosphere tonight. Speak, Lord. I'm listening. That simple act, that holy surrender, can crack open heaven's vault and release what's been waiting for you. But here's the question that will determine your destiny. Chosen one, you are standing at the most dangerous intersection of your entire life. Picture yourself at a fork in the road. It's not just any crossroads. It's the crossroads. One path loops back into everything you've been trying to escape. Doubt eating your peace. Fear stealing your sleep. The same regrets playing on repeat in your mind at 300 a.m. That path is worn smooth by millions of footsteps. It's familiar. It's safe. It's also a spiritual death sentence. The other path glows with light you can barely look at. It pulses with breakthrough, healing, the very thing your soul has been screaming for in those sleepless nights. But it requires something you've been afraid to give. Complete surrender to God's plan. Here's what's terrifying. God won't force you down that path. He won't drag you kicking and screaming into your blessing. He invites. He extends his hand. But the choice that determines whether you spend the next 20 years in breakthrough or breakdown, that's on you. And you don't have forever to decide. Remember Esther, a young woman thrust into an impossible situation. The Jews facing annihilation. Morai's words echo through eternity. Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? She had a choice. Stay silent and safe or risk everything to save her people. But here's the kicker. She couldn't wait. The king's decree had a deadline. The gallows were being built. Time was running out. You think you have time. You think this moment will come again. But Damascus Road encounters don't reschedule. Burning bushes don't wait for convenient timing. God's direct messages don't sit in your spiritual inbox collecting dust while you decide if you're ready. Every day you delay, someone else is walking through the door you were meant to open. Every night you choose comfort over courage. You're choosing spiritual mediocrity over divine destiny. The clock is ticking. 24 hours, not 24 days, not 24 weeks. Hours. If you ignore this, if you choose the familiar path of least resistance, you'll pay dearly. You'll pay with years of wondering what if. You'll pay with a heart that grows harder, prayers that grow colder, and faith that shrinks instead of sources. But if you step forward, if you choose the path of light, history shifts. Your history, your family's history, generations you'll never meet will be blessed. Because you had the courage to say yes when heaven called your name. If you feel this urgency burning in your chest, don't let it die. Declare it right now. I won't miss it this time. But what happens when you finally say yes? What's waiting on the other side of that terrifying, beautiful leap of faith? Beloved, let me speak to those scars you've been hiding for decades. Some of you remember 20, 30, 40 years ago, God nudged you to take that job. You felt it in your bones. The whisper said, go. But fear whispered louder. You stayed safe. You stayed small. And that door, it never opened again. Some of you felt that pull to forgive that person who shattered your trust. The Holy Spirit tugged at your heart, saying, release them. But pride won. The bitterness took root. And now, decades later, that poison is still eating you alive from the inside. How many midnight moments has God tried to download His plan for your life? And you rolled over saying, I'll deal with it tomorrow. How many tomorrows have you wasted? How many divine appointments did you miss because comfortable felt safer than cold? Listen to me closely. If you're still breathing right now, mercy is still flowing over your life. Your scars don't disqualify you from God's purposes. They authenticate you. Every wound you carry is a signature from heaven, proving you survived what was meant to destroy you. That depression that nearly took you out, you're still here. That betrayal that broke your heart, you're still standing. That loss that made you question everything, you're still believing. You thought your pain was punishment. But what if I told you it was preparation? What if every tear you've cried in those 300 a.m. moments was collected in heaven's bottles? What if every prayer you whispered when you thought nobody was listening was recorded in the throne room? What if that restlessness you feel, that hunger for something more, is divine DNA pulsing through your veins? Here's what's going to shake you to your core tonight. The Creator of the universe has your picture on His refrigerator. Not the airbrushed version, not the young you or the successful you. The real you, scars, struggles, and all. He's been bragging about you to the angels, saying, watch this one. They're going to shock the world with their comeback. But here's the question that will haunt you. If you don't answer it tonight, how much longer will you let yesterday's regrets steal tomorrow's miracles? Because what I'm about to reveal next will expose the real reason why God's message to you is so urgent, and why ignoring it will cost you everything you've been praying for. 7. Prophetic declaration and transformation. Chosen one. You've walked through the fire. You felt the weight of heaven's message pressing against your chest. Now, let me paint you a picture of what's waiting on the other side of your obedience. This isn't about surviving anymore. This is about soaring. Look at David, a shepherd boy forgotten in the fields, tending sheep, while his brothers got invited to the king's table. But God's message found him there in the dirt, with the oil of anointing dripping down his face. From shepherd to king, from invisible to unstoppable. Joseph rotting in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Dreams seemingly dead, hope buried under years of injustice. But God's message was incubating in that cell. From prisoner to ruler of Egypt, from forgotten to essential. Paul breathing threats and murder against God's people, convinced he was righteous while destroying lives. Then heaven's message struck him blind on that Damascus road, from persecutor to apostle, from enemy to evangelist. You are the seed that's been buried underground for years. Every betrayal, every setback, every night you cried yourself to sleep. That was the soil. This message is the sunlight finally breaking through, calling you up from the darkness. Your health that's been under attack, it's shifting. The finances that have kept you up at night, they're moving. That inner peace you've been chasing for decades, it's flooding in like a river after a drought. But here's what will shock you most. You're not just receiving a transformation. You're becoming the transformation. You're not just getting a message from God. You're becoming God's message to a world that's lost hope. Every person who counted you out will witness your rising. Every door that slammed in your face will swing wide open. Every dream they said was too late will come alive with resurrection power. This isn't theory, beloved. This is prophecy in motion. The same God who turned water into wine is about to turn your mess into your message. The same power that raised Lazarus from the grave is about to raise your purpose from the ashes. If you feel the fire burning in your bones right now, don't you dare scroll past this moment. This is your Damascus road. This is your burning bush. Type it in the comments. This is my Damascus moment. Don't just receive this message. Become this message. Let your life be the living proof that heaven still breaks through. But there's one final truth that will determine whether this transformation takes root or withers.